Hello there, and welcome to another interesting episode of the interview. Today, I'm so delighted to have Reverend Joseph John Hayab, who is the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State chapter. He is also the country director of Global Peace Foundation in Nigeria. He has served as the special advisor to the Kaduna State governor on religious affairs, and he is a pastor and he does a lot of other things. I'm so delighted to have you join me today for this wonderful conversation, sir.
Thank you very much, Seth. It is my pleasure to be on this program today.
Thank you so much. It's a great delight. So I want us to start by talking about, I am from Kaduna State. You are also the chairman of the Christian Association of Kaduna State. These days, it's quite unfortunate when you hear the word, when people talk about Kaduna State, what readily comes to mind is the security challenges that have been going on in the state. So I want us to start this discussion by talking about some of the security challenges that have been going on in Kaduna State. What do you make of the rising security challenges in Nigeria, generally speaking, but mirroring it down specifically to Kaduna State?
You know that the security challenge of Kaduna State has a long history. But those who are familiar with the history of our security challenge will know that every bit of the crisis used to come with her color, her name, her characteristics, her features, and whatever. The reason we can remember is in 1980 when the unfortunate ethno-religious violence started in Kaswa and keep growing to other parts of Kaduna. In 1987, we had the Kafanchan College of Education crisis, and we move on to the Zongo and then many other crises that have been coming. It is sad that in this age that people are getting closer and closer together. We are still living as enemies. We are still living as people or as animals, not treating each other as brothers. Every right-thinking person will know that there has been a good relationship in the past between the Christians and Muslims of Kaduna State. In fact, I will remember that in school those years, it was a desire of a non-Christian to come to Southern Kaduna and school. It was also the desire of the Southern Kaduna Christians to go to Northern Kaduna or Katsina, as we know at that time, to attend schools. We are so proud of the kind of names we hear from them, names like Tijani, we call it TJ, Seidu, Abdulaziz, and so on. And they were also so proud to call us the Jerry, the Big Joe, the Big J, the Joshua, and so on. So we had this good relationship. But something went wrong. And what went wrong is that some elites, for deliberate reason, started becoming afraid of the growing nature of our people and started instilling fear and doubt in the minds of the other. And those who supposed to look at us as brothers and as friends started seeing us as competitors, as likely people who were coming to take over from them. And I think this molded and built up some of the things that have come up to where we are today. Because all these things actually started before the advent of Boko Haram and the banditry we are seeing today. We know that they were not there before. The little challenge we had before had to do with like when Matatine came. Matatine was not just against one group of people. It was actually more common among the non-Christian part of northern Nigeria. And we know the kind of havoc they did, and government was able to put them to stop. But we are looking at the general insecurity and the general tension that is happening in Southern Kaduna. And that's why I'm putting this perspective in this angle that we started well, we had a good relationship, we went to the same school, we grew together, chairman of our local government, then we had Olin Jama local government, Kachia local government, because Kachia local government then made up of President Kagorko, President Dangon Kataf, and everybody was at home. We were having a good time. we don't mind someone from Katsina coming to be the chairman of our local government. You know, sometimes people used to bring politics into this matter. And I used to say, one is old enough to remember that even up to 1979, the Christian South will not mind religion as far as politics is concerned. They're just going to go and vote for any candidate from the political party of their choice. People who know very well will remember that it was just overnight. The decision came that all our people should just go put all their votes for Alhaji Balarabe Musa, just like that. And he became governor. And in 1983, when there was a desire because of the mix-up that happened and they wanted Lawal Kaita to come, it was the same kind of understanding. Then later on in 1992 or 91, when Dida Bolere came, there was this understanding. Our people were only upset with the then Professor Ango Abdullahi, not because of religion, but because of the way and manner his party, the SDP, deny A.A. Mekori, Barrister A.A. Mekori, becoming a gubernatorial candidate. And then our people went to Dabolere. Dabolere wasn't a Christian. So we continue like that, even up to 1999. We've really never been bigot, as far as I know, in Southern Kaduna. The fact of is that a Southern Kaduna man is willing to die for one Abubakar, willing to die for one Tukur, willing to die for one Sanusi when it comes to politics. Let me put this. Recently, I had a conversation with a very important Nigeria, that is Alhaji Bashir Tofa. And I told him something. I said, Bashir, your people seem to have forgotten that we've shown them love, we've shown them respect, we've shown them concern. Look, the fact of all is that we are willing to do those things that ordinarily we have no reason to do, just to live in peace with your people, just to keep holding on to that brotherliness that we have shown them to be. But sadly, what we get in return is burning of our churches, killing of our brothers, calling us names, disrespect for our religion, disrespect for the names we bear, and so on and so forth. I speaking today, I know very well that many years ago, in Kaduna North local government, I asked my wife, who was born and brought up in Ungwankudu, Ungwarimi. She actually do not even know her village the way she knows Ungwarimi and Ungwankudu. She went to seek for indigent form. And a young woman who had been employed by Kaduna North local government, from her face and her name, you know she comes from Borno or from Yobe. But she gave my wife a settler certificate. I had to go to the local government, fight and tell her she must change that. My wife is an Indian and she has no right to give my wife a settler certificate. These are the kind of things our people have been going. So this crisis continue and the divisions continue. Then the banditry came in, and the banditry now became, first it was like a general insecurity in Nigeria. But when you look at this pattern, the bandits are going, killing, destroying areas that our people are, you will also agree that as much as it is banditry, but the bandits know who they are after.
So I want to piggyback on two things that you said. You said moments ago that, people of Southern Kaduna who are mostly Christians and people of Northern Kaduna who are mostly Muslims coexisted without these tensions until, some elites use the word elite. So I want you to clarify, what do you mean by elites? Who are these elites that, brought the confusion or use religion to cause confusion?
Yeah, I have a background of the history of religion, history of education in northern Nigeria. I also understand some of the challenge the missionaries had and could not operate in northern Nigeria and had to be sent to the pagan community, which the Southern Kaduna was one of them. And then it gave us opportunity for education and others. I really didn't want to bore us down with that history. That's why I just wanted to take the story from the angle of, okay, when everybody's eyes was open, when people had gone to school, when people started to live a life, when states were created, when we begin to live as neighbors, as siblings, as people from the same region, from the same state, this was the kind of life we live. People were looking at admission without minding where the admission comes. I know very many of my age mates or seniors who would tell you, look, I'm going to GSS Mani. I want to go to Daurati Sim Daura. I want to go to WTC Kabomo. I want to go to this school. They didn't care about, there was no fight, a fear or doubt in their mind. I say elites because people who actually had the opportunity to come either to school among our people, or they had our people in schools where they met in northern Kaduna. They grew up together and worked as civil servants. Just overnight, they started seeing us as we have become something that they should even look at us. We have become something they shouldn't even want to associate with. And they were indoctrinated to begin to think that in their own thinking, we have no reason to occupy responsible offices and others. The most recent that young people may remember started with Gumi's sermon in 1986, where Gumi publicly, then Babangida had took over from General Babangida as a military head of state. Gumi publicly came out and preached that according to his Islamic theology, a Muslim must not allow a Christian to rule over him. The fact is that he added, and I quote, that a woman cannot also rule over a Muslim. Interestingly, at that time, our people were not even looking at governance from the angle of religion. They were not looking at our togetherness from the angle of religion. They were seeing us as one. But that opens the eyes of our people to begin to say, wait a minute, if this man will openly preach this kind of sermon and present this kind of idea, what is our future? I remember very well because I've grown up enough and I've finished school to know what transpired. The leadership of the church at that time went around, sensitized people of the church, and before you know what is happening, the next election that came, they went looking for a candidate, and they picked one, Reverend John Aboki, mobilized people to come out in mass and voted for him to be the chairman of Kaduna local government. Then we never had Ikabi, Kaduna Northern, Kaduna South. It was actually one Kaduna local government. Then in the ward where Gumi resides, that's the Abakwa axis, they also mobilized very well, and Grace Chechet was able to win to become a councillor. Why did all these things happen? It happened because there was a kind of preaching by someone we thought is civilized, by someone we thought had grown mature, instigating his people against our people. And our people needed to go back and also stirred up an understanding too. And the fact about it is that these things were not hidden. These things were done in the open. These things were things people knew very, very, very well about it. There is a part that many Christians don't know, that one of the beneficiaries of Christian generosity and Christian friendship is Sheikh Abubakar Gumi. Abubakar Gumi, not Ahmed Gumi, the young one now. Abubakar Gumi, his father, was the interpreter of Sardauna when Sardauna became the premier of northern Nigeria. Because Sardauna had one weakness. He was not vast in Arabic. So he needed someone who will understand Arabic and translate Arabic to him, since he needed to visit Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and all this Arabic world. The fact is that it was one of those visits to Kuwait that the king of Kuwait gave them money, and they built what today you have as Sardauna Memorial College. When they built it, it wasn't SMC. It was actually the king of Kuwait's name that the school was named after. What just happened was that when government started taking over schools, SMC was taken over, but in the system that we are already familiar with, SMC was named after Sardauna, and that's why people grow up to hear is Sardauna Memorial College. But the money originally from that school, for the building of that school, come. That's why up to today, if you go to that school, you will not find a chapel. There is a mosque, because that was the kind of agreement and understanding they had at that time. But I just wanted to put this as a background. So he enjoyed the hospitality of a Christian president, because after the assassination of Sardauna and others, General Yakubu Gowon, who later became the president, maintained him, and he remained as the chairman of the National Hajj Board, as they call it at that time. The fact is that he continued to serve as chairman of that board, and he was also a Grand Cadi. Those things were real issues. Then they started what they then called the Jama'at Izala to Bidi Asuna. It was more like what we call in Christian faith as Sabon Redonkoa. As they were doing it, but he personalized that thing and kept it to himself. The funds coming for that were actually controlled by him alone. And when some started questioning the records, questioning what is going on, then he started bringing this divisive message against us and against some other Islamic sect. I put this record because those who don't know can go and find out and research. They will find out that what I've said is true. The fact is that what today you call Izala wasn't in existence until when Babangida came into power. Because he wanted to get out of the hook, he then sought for the permission of Babangida to register that group as an Islamic sect so that he will no longer give account to anybody of all the money he has been receiving in the name of evangelism. And that was how the then group that were in Jos protested and never want to go with him. That's why today when you ask stories very well, when you listen to the whole thing, you hear there is an Izala in Jos and there is Izala Bidia Sunnah, which is more like a national thing, but the Just group refused to go under him. And up to today, if you follow the event, you will see even his son, they used to have some mix-up of exchange of words with that group because that group seems not to be comfortable to follow them. But those were the kind of foundation. So why am I putting this story? Because it was in that kind of movement that he got to recruit so many people who became privileged in Nigeria. The fact of the matter is that because he was privileged, if there is a recruitment into the Nigerian army, he makes sure that he recommends those who will go there. If there is recruitment in the BBC radio, he makes sure he recommends those who go there. If there's recruitment in the central bank, he makes sure he recommends those who go there. If there's recruitment in every lucrative organization, NMPC, call them names. He makes sure they go there. Those were the clique of people who grow wings and started planting this wide division that has eaten us up to today and is refusing to die before bandit came and started terrorizing us.
Thank you so much, sir, for that lesson of history. Since you spoke a little bit extensively about the late Abubakar Gumi, I want you to talk about his son, Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, who has been making a lot of headlines. I had the privilege to interview him twice on this platform. What do you see any difference between the father and the son? Do you see any difference between Sheikh Abubakar Gumi and Ahmad Gumi? If so, what are the differences? And I also want you to comment about some of the things that Sheikh Dr. Ahmad Gumi has been doing, especially his involvement with banditry, with conversations with the bandits, which has created some controversies in the country.
It is going to be difficult to separate a son from his father. Even if he do not do exactly what his father is doing, a son is always a son, and a son, if he wants to live, be what his salt, will want to be like his father. So even asking whether there is difference, I think the simple difference is one. This Gumi was privileged to be more educated than his father. Secondly, this Gumi served in the Nigerian army. This Gumi stayed most part of his life in Saudi Arabia. This Gumi is operating at a time that there is more awareness, there is more civilization than when his father operates. But he still remains the son of his father. He believes in many of the ideology and the programs of his father. But because of the era he is operating, he is he's trying to be friendly, he's trying to be open, accommodating, he's trying to, but when you read some of his comments recently, you will see that even in his accommodation, even in his friendship, he still holds on to those things. One of the articles I read today that baffles me is for him to say, and I quote, that it is Islamically right for people to pay ransom to bandits. So you see, we're still going back to that same yesterday, because when people want to hide under anything, when they say it is Islamically right to do it, you don't question it. If you start questioning it, they will say you blaspheme the prophet, you are speaking ill of the religion. So you can see the system has not really changed. It's just that the era has changed. At that time, nobody could have questioned the other Gumi. Nobody will tell him what you said is not true. Because if you say it, because of the weight of influence and the power he has, Most of these big medias, I earlier told you that they cannot recruit anybody in northern Nigeria without the blessing of this man. Those medias will present your story from a completely negative point of view. They will present your story as an enemy of Islam, as an enemy of Gumi. But at least now you will have some voices that will present your story fairly, not like before. So that's just what is the difference. But you see, for every human being, God can use him, like Cyrus. God used Cyrus. God used other kings. And I can see that God can also use Gumi. The Bible says the heart of the king is in the hands of God and he can turn it to every direction like a watercourse. And I quite believe that Gumi may be a replica of his father, but God can still use him. And that brings me to the current situation today we are facing. When Gumi started his involvement with the bandits, Reverend Hayab, the county chairman of Kaduna State, I had serious question about it. As much as I didn't want to get myself involved, but I have this question. The question is simply, is Gumi going out to preach? Because bandits, in my understanding, are ungodly people who do not know God by hiding under religion. So they need someone in their religion to go and preach to them. Probably they will repent. Probably they will be born again if there's any time like that in Islamic faith and turn to be good and righteous people. But before we knew what was happening, it was no longer about preaching. He was speaking for them as, no, you see, these people are not bandits. They are not doing anything. They are just actually freedom fighters. They are like the Niger Delta militants. And so I start asking questions. Is it because when he starts saying that, he changes from the position of being a preacher, helping them to turn from evil to good, to someone who wants to defend them. He started saying, look, he's calling for amnesty for them and so on and so forth. So some of us started arguing with them. But here we have the situation where, as those things were, he is saying those words, then the security situation of our town became a little bit worse. And somehow, the bandits that are difficult to approach, he is the only one who seems to have access to approach them. So even if you speak ill of him, the parents of the children who are with the bandits definitely will want any access to the bandits. Anybody who can speak to the bandits to at least pacify them, not to kill their children, not to do their children any harm. So here you have a man who is speaking what you do not like, but he seems to have access to the people who are causing evil in the land. And if you want to even pacify them and do anything, you just have to find a way of talking to him. Probably he will speak to them. Let me put it this way. The first night I got the video of Gumi saying that Christian military men kill Fulanis, I didn't send the video to anybody. I sent the video to him first. Since I have access to him and his PA, I send the video to him and send the video to his PA, and I say, can you explain the meaning of this? Is it true? And I'm happy that he was smart. I think I did that around 4 a.m. in the night because the video had not really come out, but I got it late in the night. And then before 5, he responded. I think he came back from prayers and saw my something. He responded and then tried to give me some background of what happened that led to that video I am seeing. But I told him that there are pictures in that video that do not show that yesterday. The pictures in that video show like if it was a recent thing. Yes, there was something that happened at that time, but the current picture do not show that. Well, he tried to justify. It took him 2 days. Every day he would send me one text, one video, one link, so that I will read. Whether it will give me a different picture of what it means. But something came out and became like wildfire. Everybody was talking about it. I have the video. I also have what he said. Was I convinced? It's left for me to keep it to my chest at this moment. But I had my questions about it.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, something seems to be cracking. I think your earpiece seems to be talking and making some noise.
I'm afraid probably is the... Okay, is it making noise now?
It is still making a little bit of noise. Maybe just
okay. If you can hear me loud here, I will just go this way without the earpiece.
Okay,
is it all right now? Thank you. Okay, so that was what transpired. I remember very well that when the Greenfield students were kidnapped and 2 or 3 were killed, somehow I was under pressure by parents of these students. And what was the pressure? One of the Muslims whose son was killed even was the one who advised the parents of the students of the Greenfield to speak to me. I should speak to Gumi. You can see the dilemma of leadership. Now I have my concern about what he's doing, but these parents were afraid Since they started killing children, they may kill their children. They were speaking to me. I had no option than to call him. And somehow he called me and I got involved in the conversation that went for us to meet with the former president, Obasanjo, to discuss extensively or to discuss some few things about what is going on in our state, what is going on in our land, the fate of these children. And I can say to you without fear of contradiction that that sitting brought about what you had yesterday of these children coming back, which I give credit to Obasanjo because he did very, 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 very well. I remember I told him something, I was very blunt, and I told him the problem, who is causing these pains. I say it by name, and he was also very frank to admit that and say words that, for the sake of his name, I leave it that way. But it taught me something about why we are facing this problem today.
Do you see any positive things that Dr. Amakudumi is doing? Can you mention some few?
Well, you see, I can't completely rule out that there are positive things. One, as I said, they facilitated the idea of these young children coming out yesterday. They've been engaged because I've been engaging them most nights. I know sometimes I engage them. I can add to this that 2 nights ago, when this group issued threat that, or 3 nights ago, when they issued threat that they are going to kill these children on Tuesday, it was a bad night for all of us. There were a lot of conversation, a lot of reaching out, to the extent that they had to send me words in the night telling me the level they have reached, which gave back to some of the things you saw happening 2 days ago. If I don't appreciate that, then I'm just going to be, I will allow prejudice to becloud my thinking. I have questions about some of his activities, but I appreciate the good side he is doing. And I have to console myself by using a very famous ham adage that says, you don't know the stick that will kill a witch. Sometimes, if you want to be too rigid, there's a stick that can kill a witch and you are not using it. You are thinking you need a big stick, you need a popular stick, you need a clean stick. It may not be the ones that will kill the witch. It may be the dirty stick. So I just feel, okay, if I can work to get these people out, I'm going to work with anybody to get these people out. But I'm not going to compromise. Those things I said I disagree about, I will not change their name from being criminals, from being bandits. They are. I remember when we were even holding the meeting, I got a call from BBC London and they wanted to interview me. And when they realized on BBC, they were telling me, be careful what you say, because they are monitoring every BBC interview. And when because the day we went to them in the bush, they were questioning and challenging us some of the things we've ever said. I told them, look, I'm going to speak. I'm not speaking for Hayab. I'm speaking for the Christian community. I'm not going to entertain any fear. That's why I try to balance. Where do I come in this relationship of helping these young people to come home? And where do I stand in ensuring that what is wrong is called wrong?
One of the things you said some moments ago is that the banditry, or whatever names they are named, it's called, but the bandits or the terrorists or whatever they are called, that there is a religious undertone to that. Do you mind clarifying what you mean?
Yeah, well, what that simply means is that anybody who tries to argue that the bandits go after everybody, it is not religion, seems to be economical with the truth. The bandit goes after everybody. They can kidnap Fulanis, they can kidnap it. When they come to make demand, you will know the difference. When they come to treat you, you will know the difference. Because at least I've been involved in the way and manner we get some people out from the bandits, and I know what they ask, and I know how they make the demands, and I know sometimes, the fact I speak with you now, I have in Kaduna State 3 pastors or 2 pastors and 1 priest still with the bandits. And we could, the church or church group may have provided what is needed, but they'll come up with another thing and make it difficult. So these bandits have a religious something. I will use one simple example. When these bandits went to the engraver's code, there is one man whose daughter was also kidnapped. This man is a Fulani man from Gusasa, but is working in Sokoto. When they realized that his daughter is Fulani and a Christian, they openly told her, our anger with you and your father is your choice of this wrong religion. They said that. The girl is alive. Her father is alive. I can go on and tell you several people, they said this kind of language to them. So if they don't have a religious undertone, they will not. Yes, they may not really be portraying Islam in good light. So they may. Someone can argue they are not representing Islam, but they are sympathetic to Islam. And that's why I, Reverend Hayab, though I'm the CAN chairman, I can't go to the bush to dialogue with bandits. But Gumi can go because he's a Muslim. And he goes with a team of Muslims. And have you listened to some of the interview? Because some of the people, they call them and they speak and they record them. You will hear what they say. So we have words from them that shows that they are sympathetic to Islam, as much as they will kidnap everybody, including Muslims, to get money. But they also have, look, sometimes I used to be tempted to think, and I may not be completely wrong, that the little kidnap of Muslims is just not to completely give it the complete picture that it is against a faith. But if not, you go to a camp where 85% of those kidnapped are of Christian extraction, and probably just 5 or 10% are Muslims. Are you talking, if really they want, go to Giwa local government where they are busy kidnapping people, they go to areas that churches are. The fact is that the angle they are going that are not churches, they are not kidnapping people. What they do is they just steal their cows and kill people and go away. But the ones they kidnap to get money, we are really the group that is mostly heated. You remember there was a time I presented a report that over 500 Christians have been kidnapped. We've paid over 300,000 million naira, and the government of the day were angry with me. They got the commissioner of police to come and query me. Why did I say that? Where did I get my statistics? I just had a good laugh. I raised my paper and showed him my questionnaire because I called many pastors. And when the pastors came, I said, we want to be sure what is happening because we don't want to give wrong data. We served the questionnaire. Have anybody in your church ever been kidnapped? Was he a male or female? How long did he stay with the kidnappers? How much did you pay? Did they kill him? Did they kidnap a pastor or pastor's wife? It was there we got our statistics. This same government who was thinking that what we said was false came out a year after to admit that in the year in review, that same year we raised alarm, 1,970 something people were kidnapped, and we only said 500. So you can see that we are not blind. We know exactly what is happening. We understand what is happening. But what we just keep doing as a people is, one, to sensitize our people and speak to power, because why today we are even talking about there should be no negotiation is because government have failed. If government have done what it's supposed to do, I don't need to discuss negotiation. Negotiation is completely far outside the discussion. The discussion is holding government accountable because it's supposed to protect lives and properties of citizens under her watch.
And talking about negotiations, especially, I want to hear your take about Governor Nasir El-Rufai's view that, I mean, over the years, he has changed his views severally. As we can see, I mean, there are records of that he has said one thing at one point, but at another point, he has said something that he said previously. What is your view about, I want you to speak especially about what is your relationship like with the governor of Kaduna State, and what is your take about his stance that he doesn't negotiate with terrorists?
See, if I know you to be a liar, if I know you to be a double-tongued person, if I know you to be twisting your word every day, sitting to analyze you is like I have no job to do. I think the governor has confirmed to Nigerians that he is unstable. And you know, the Bible says people who are unstable, who are double-minded, cannot be trusted. So if you ask me to begin to analyze him, it's like trying to make an untrusted person look very famous. He's only privileged to have the seat of power, but brother, he has lost the respect of being a leader, because if he tells you 1,000 things, you can even add one more and make it 1,001. All are lies. All are not honest. All are not straightforward. So why do I analyze him? I think for that question, I would ask you to excuse me because I have no reason to analyze. Am I going to analyze the falsehood? Am I going to analyze the twisting of the issues? Am I going to analyze the denial? Am I going to analyze the one he said this today and tomorrow he said this? Am I going to analyze the one that he makes people enemies even when the people don't even know they are his enemies? Am I going to analyze the way he thinks that everybody in Southern Kaduna is an enemy, is an ingrate? He has called our people name. But just probably for the sake of our listeners, there was a time he said that the Southern Kaduna people are people who come to beg, who come to seek for collect brown envelope. And I laugh. I said, please, let's just go to the north and the south and take statistics who are the major beggars. And you know what I mean? You can know that if we really collect envelopes, if our elite collect envelopes, then we'll have beggars all over the street. We know those who collect envelopes, and we can also see how rich they are. So let's not dignify what is not. Because this man was just privileged by God to be governor. He has failed to understand the responsibility of being a governor. He has failed to understand the responsibility of leading people. He speaks anyhow. So analyzing him is just waste of time. I think that Kaduna State knows this. That's why I want to actually use this medium to commend Gloria Balasan. The article she wrote recently is fantastic because he is thinking Kaduna State is one of those conquered territory. It is not.
Well, aside from the abductions and all the kidnappings that have been going on, especially in southern Kaduna, there have also been all kinds of killings of innocent citizens of southern Kaduna. What have you been gathering about these in-season attacks, and what have you, the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State chapter, what have you been doing about these in-season attacks in southern Kaduna?
You see, as at 5th of this month, that is yesterday, Emmanuel Sabo from Ngoma Kama in Sanga local government, Arak Sanga local government was killed. Kennedy Malam from Ambam was killed on the 29th of April. Habila Gambo from Ngomkwara on the 4th of May was killed. And Emmanuel Sabo from Ngoma Kama, one Monday from Abamu was killed on 28th. Killings are still going on in southern Kaduna. The fact about it is that the killings going on is underreported. When government come out to say that we were killing in Kaduna State, they're no longer in their new style of giving out statistics. They deliberately want to keep that statistics from southern Kaduna from coming. But you see, a man whose son was killed knows his son was killed. A member of the family whose relation was killed knows a relation was killed. Someone from the town whose village person was killed knows that someone in their village was killed. So whether government announce or government do not announce, people are being killed in southern Kaduna. The challenge we have actually is he has already formed prejudice against the people. He does not want to even hear their complaint or their cry. So we have to on our own decide what to do, how to do, and ensure we protect ourselves. And I've always spoken, and I've said this to pastors, that we must wake up. We don't go to church and all of us run into church because we feel that if we are not seated in the front pews, Jesus will not hear you. It's not true. The man who sits on the front pews, the man who sits at the last pews, and the man who watch at the gate for others to sit in the front and back pews, all will be blessed, the same equal blessing by God. The people who go to the farm and those who watch over the whole village before those who go to the farm come back are going to be blessed like the same. Those who are farming and others are watching, because we must develop this Israeli style of watching and praying. We cannot just go into prayer without other people watching. We cannot go into farming without other people watching. We cannot go into any festivities without other people watching. If we do that, we'll continue to weep and lament because our people are being killed. We don't have a government that we can cry to. Neither do we have a government we can complain to, because if we even go and complain to them, they will just twist the complaint against us. Sukapu is not in the good book of government. I asked Kanchama, you were asking me my relationship and I didn't want to talk about. See, this was someone I know very well. I had some close relationship with him. When he became governor, I did two things, and I know that was when he knew that I wouldn't tolerate his nonsense. Number one, the day he sat on television and said, and I quote, that Southern Kaduna people didn't vote for him. I walked to the government house, I sat him down, and I said, you said Southern Kaduna people didn't vote for you. Let me cut you and give you some statistics. In previous election, the winning party, that is then the PDP, would have taken virtually everything in Southern Kaduna. But let me start with Jemaah local government. You got over 39,000 votes in Jemaah local government, and PDP got 46,000. Can you say those people didn't vote for you? He now trying to say, I'm sorry, I actually got 47.8% of that vote. Then I say, if someone gives you 47.8, will you say he didn't vote for you? He said no. I said in Kachia local government, the difference between you and the then governor was just 1,000 votes. If that governor had got 33,000, you got 32,000. Then we go to Kagalko, you won. We went to Kauru, you got Kauru. You win Kauru. And Sanga, why will you just of a sudden turn to say they did not? He apologized for that. Another day again, he came out and said Christians are 30%, Muslims are 70%. And I walked back to the government house and I said, hey, wait a minute. Why are you saying what is not true? I know you and I don't want you to say what is not true. I say, what's that? That is not true. I say, that percentage you're giving, because I served in the census of 2006. I served in the census committee. The fact about it is that because there was a high rate of number of people in Southern Kaduna, the Council of Ulamas wanted to take the Kaduna State government to court to refuse the census figure. But when they realized that the matter was not going to favor them, they dropped it. They succeeded in pushing the government to set up a committee. I, Reverend Hayab, I'm the one who refused to participate in the committee. I said, I'll prefer we meet with them in court than have a committee for a census that they cannot fault it. That was how that committee was dissolved, and the committee never started. And there was nothing they could do in court because we showed that we have the figure. So why should someone just come here today without any authority to say that we are 30% and the other people are 70%? So our governor is someone who do not want anybody to tell him the truth or expose his lies. Once you do that, you become an enemy. So for us, our people are being killed. We've been crying about it. Okay, there was another thing that the governor came up with. He then, I wasn't even camp chairman. He lied that the Christian community used to stir up crisis so that they will write to Americans and European people to give us money. And I say, what a shame. I confronted them and I asked them. I had served in Khan as the secretary, and now I am back as the chairman of Kaduna State. Kaduna State do not even have a domiciliary account. If you want to bring the best of auditors, the best of financial experts, please let them come and check our account. There is never a day we've gotten money from anybody in Europe. Not even through a proxy. So why will you say that? But you see, because he has formed prejudice against our people, he always wants to present a story that will make our people look negative. That's why even when we have crisis, we don't bother about telling him we find our own solution. At least we can access government, we can access the federal government, we can access the security agencies. Yeah, some of them may want to do things to please him, but at least you still have an area where they will want to do things right. And somehow, gradually we are overcoming, but I believe that when we wake up from our slumber and do the needful, we on our own will chase the bandit out of our community, we on our own will stop them from killing our brothers and sisters, and then they will know that the game is over.
I wanted to clarify more. Moments ago, you gave an illustration with, people going to church, whether you are sitting in the front seat or at the back seat, or you are watching outside, and you specifically said, we have to resort to self-defense. What do you specifically mean by self-defense? How are Christians or people of Southern Kaduna supposed to defend themselves?
Well, it is not a lecture on this medium, but self-defense, simply put, constitutionally, we have right to defend ourselves. If anybody comes now to beat my wife, I don't need to call police first to stop him from beating my wife or protect my wife. If anybody comes to set my house on fire, I don't need to call police to stop him from setting my house on fire. I'll do something to stop him from setting my house on fire. That's exactly the example. If anybody will come to cause members of our fellowship during church service any pains, we don't need to wait for police to chase them away. We will do what, humanly speaking, we can do to show them that they are not the only ones who have monopoly of violence. So, but how do we do it? We have to devise a system where I told pastors that, look, if we live in a community where we have 5 churches, bring all the youths together. If we can come up with the youth, if they are 200, if they are 1,000, if they are 2,000, We divide them into 7 days. For each day, there is a set of youth that will watch over all the entry to the city, watch over people who are going to churches or people who are going to farm. At least the next day is another set, the next day is another set, because until we deliberately come out to secure our homes, secure our churches, secure our farms, secure our villages, these enemies of humanity will not stop tormenting us. And so that's what we mean by that, that we have to take our security in our hands. You remember when we started talking about self-defense, or let me use this way, when Sukapu was talking about self-defense, they were angry, Sukapu is calling on people to revolt. But somehow, the federal government themselves says, don't be cowards. Why should we allow some few individuals to be chasing us? Let's go after them. So it shows that if we are the ones that talk about self-defense, it is evil, but they will tell us to defend ourselves. So what I have resolved to do now is self-defense is not a talking thing. Self-defense is a doing thing. So I just responded to your question, but what we do to defend ourselves, we don't need to talk about it on the pages of an media. So do self-defense. Don't talk self-defense. When you talk self-defense, you just draw attention as if you have prepared, you have weapons. That's why they go to people's homes, take knives that they are cutting their meat and say that's weapon. But when you plan how to defend yourself, the enemy will know that you are not sleeping. And there are things you can do, and the enemy will know you are not sleeping. And God will eventually one day give these enemies to your hands, that they may come to harm you, but you end up being the one to arrest them. If they've been hiding their story, that day the story will expose.
I want you to talk to Christians. You are the current chairman of Kaduna State. I want you to, what is your message to Christians, especially from Southern Kaduna, who have been going through, for the past couple of years, there have been all kinds of attacks. Many people have lost their loved ones. Some have been injured. Some have lost their property and all kinds of things. What's your message to Christians of Kaduna State?
I don't know whether we have time. I have plenty of message for Christians. Message number 1, be strong. Don't allow what is happening to discourage you. The fact about it is that in Christian history, the church always grows when she faces persecution. So if we are facing persecution, let's be strong and know that our forefathers also faced persecution in order to bring the gospel to us, in order to live as Christians, in order to continue to hold on to this identity that we are having. So let us be strong and don't give up. Number 2, we must be united. I think there's a deliberate way of dividing us. Some of the ways they are dividing us today is so that we will not be able to expose evil. We will not be able to stand and resist evil. So they come and divide us by tribe. They sometimes come and divide us by denomination. They sometimes come and divide us by the way we do things. I've always used this example to tell people, people must not do things my own way. In a house, all of us must not behave the same. Even those young men that sometimes we accuse them and insult them that they are wayward, they are drunkard, they could be the savior of the home, they could be the savior of the village, they could be the savior of the community. So let's be careful when they come and instigate us against some people as if, there's a day that young we can salvage a home, can protect a home. In your house, you may have children who don't talk, you may have those who are extrovert, you may have those who befriend everybody. You may have those who frown their face by. See, every one of those child has his role and day in that home. A wicked person will come laughing with everybody, and those who used to smile anyhow will think he's a good friend and they are smiling with him. The other one that normally do not talk is the one that will study him and understand that he's not honest. He is just using that, opening his mouth to laugh, but planting evil. If you leave, he will just tell you, be careful with that man. He's not as what you think. So every child has a day and a way God will use him. That's the same thing in our community. We must begin, because have you seen that we argue too much about issues that we have no reason to argue among ourselves, instead of focusing on things that will help us defeat the enemy, things that will help us expose our enemy, but we end up arguing among ourselves for things that are not. There is a recent development that we are even being used to think that we can fight this evil with evil. No. The truth about it is that when we talk about protecting ourselves, we are not talking about doing evil. We are not talking about lying. I've told people who care to listen that you cannot defeat lies with lies. If you want to use lies to defeat lies, because that person is a professional liar, he will do it more than you, and you will lose. The fact that he will not only defeat you, even people who used to trust you will assume what you are saying is a lie. So we must also maintain that clean part of being Christians. Recently, something happened and people didn't know why I did that. when there was all this issue about pandemic, and there was a minute purported to have come up that pandemic chaired one JNI meeting in which has representatives from Bauchi, Plateau, Kaduna, and Niger, and it was in that meeting they planned to eliminate the Yakubu. I had a good laugh because that minute is fake. Anybody who will prove me that that minute is not fake should come, and I'll prove him that that minute is fake. I have that minute as far back as 2011 because that minute had something else. It was reducted and changed to another minute. That minute is fake. But apart from being fake, you see, this we are just bringing the Akwa family into something that they don't want. The Akwa family have lost their father, have lost their breadwinner, have lost someone who God lifted. At this moment, in this evil time of Nigeria, setting them into a controversy with leadership that cannot even genuinely attend to their matter is not fair for them. So leave them out of that. The story is fake, but bringing the Akwa family into it is just another way of making it bad. And I've told people who care to listen, let's be careful with that. Another thing that came up recently, just 2 days or 3 days ago, was that video that was going around that they were forcing people in Niger State. No. I think we have better ways. I learned that there's one famous preacher. He's not famous because I don't know him. If he's famous in Kaduna, I'm supposed to know him. He wrote things and was accusing me and even saying that likely Pantemi gave me money. But I laugh at him because I remember that same person. When there was an incident in Living Faith, he was the first to publish the fake story that misled many Christians. When there was a bomb scare in Living Faith, Nehemiah, who went to Living Faith, never went to Living Faith to bomb Living Faith. Nehemiah was just someone who is under drug, but went to Living Faith after an event. He actually went to the event to take the bag. The bag only contained fireworks that are used during events. But because of the situation, the Living Faith people thought it was a bomb, and they get scared and called police. Nehemiah never said he was Muhammad or Muhammadu, but that person lied and wrote, and that's how Fani Kayode started pushing his story on Twitter that yes, the man told the church this is his name. How did his name change when he was there? I was the one who came up to tell the truth, and the truth eventually set Nehemiah free, because Nehemiah today has, after a long time with the police headquarters, they find him not guilty. They release him. I took Nehemiah for rehabilitation. After rehabilitating him, I put him to land trade. Nehemiah is living well today. He's growing in the Lord, because we must not just do things because we think we can. There's social media. When you're not careful, when you promote lies, lies will consume you. I'm not going to part to that. So I want to encourage our people that we have a fight to fight, but let's not use the wrong weapon. Our weapons are not carnal. Our weapons are mightier. And mighty weapons must not be lies. Remember, the Bible says that Satan is the father of all liars. And I'm not the son of the devil, so I'm not going to lie.
Before I allow you to go, sir, I want you to comment, though you desisted from saying a lot about the governor of Kaduna State. But I just want you to comment about this recent review of fees in tertiary institutions. What do you make of that?
That is something that makes me not to think about, because someone who say he wants to come and improve education, he wants to come and help people go to school, he wants to come, but just ended up stopping people from going beyond secondary school, because that kind of fee shows that you do not want the children of the common man to become governor tomorrow. You do not want the children of the common man to become anything tomorrow. If those fees were paid like that during his era in Barewa College and in ABU, he wouldn't have gone to university. So how will you raise that kind of fee? I saw in some quarters, I hope it is not true, that he is quoted to have said that university is not for common people. University is for people who are wealthy or rich enough. That is a poor language if a governor ever said that. But if he did not say that, okay, let's assume it's one of those stories they've been telling about him. But I believe that those stories used to come because of his attitude. I have said this, and I want to conclude by saying that my governor is someone who is heartless, who is ingrate, who can lie, who treats human beings as if they are not human beings, who believes that he can govern you by intimidation. And I'm not going to yield into that. I've always tell people that if you think you will eliminate me, you will just raise another group of people who will speak even more than I do. So we are telling him, no. Don't treat people like that. The day the students reach out to us and ask us to add our voices, I told them that the first concern I have was with the university. It was true that the university got a circular from government, but the university show how unmature they are, that they even refuted the story that the story is a lie. Only for them after 2 days again to issue another circular or memo now justifying the fee. A university? No. Even the principal of a secondary school will not do that. If a vice chancellor and his team will do that. So instead of even blaming the governor, since I already know his way of doing things, I blame them for see, the university will stand and outlive the governor. University was not established by him. After him, another governor will come. Look, let it even be his son. The son will come and realize certain things were not done right, and he will correct them. So why should a university start telling lies? Tomorrow, can you also tell me that you are training those boys in knowledge and character where they can hear you as a university lying about a fee that is true? You lied at first, it was not, then later come to justify it. So that decision to increase the fee is not good for parents. Remember, he has sacked so many parents from work. He has not paid them their pension. He has not paid them their salaries, and he's adding school fees. So it's just a way of, let me come and just destroy you. But I believe that the people he is seeing cannot be destroyed because God created them and God has a big plan for us.
What a wonderful way to end this interview. I want to specifically thank you, Reverend Joseph John Hayab, who is the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State chapter. Thank you so much for making time to be part of this conversation.
Thank you very much, Seth, for giving us opportunity to add our voices to the issues that are going on and to clarify things that sometimes people don't know much about.
Thank you so much. For all of you that contributed and watched this program, I want to specifically thank you. Until I come your way next time with another interesting episode of The Interview. Bye for now.